Welcome to the Perfect Your Purpose podcast, where my main goal is to connect with inspiring individuals across the country, allow them to share their journeys that have brought them to where they are today, and how they're finding and discovering their unique purpose on a daily basis. I'm your host, Danica Tramburg, and I am so happy to welcome Laura Miller, who is here to talk about all things movement, mindset, and motivation.
Hi, Danica. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to have you on. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I love that little in your bio, mindset, motivation, and movement. Can you tell me a little bit about why those three words?
Yeah, totally. So I've learned over the years and, through navigating some challenges, which I'm sure we'll get into, but yeah, I've just kind of really learned that having both the movement side of things and the mindset side of things has just been like so important to really push, everyone to the next level. And I really feel like those things kind of have to live in the same world if you're going to get to where you want to get to, whether that's in a job or, personally, or when dealing with an illness, something like, anything like that. So those two things really go hand in hand for me. So I really, empower others to look at both sides of those things. And then also, of course, the motivation. I think everybody needs somebody in their corner that, they know has their back and they know that they can count on for support, because that is honestly very hard to find. So yeah, I'd really just, I try and bring that to everyone in my little, social media community as, the mindset, movement, and motivation, because I think all three things are so important.
They are so important. They all contribute somehow to just kind of like our mental health and just, how we deal with everything on a daily basis, everything in our life. And I think it's important to have those three constants all the time.
Absolutely.
I also love your little videos you post, and I know you're a dancer too. So I'd love to hear more about what you do. How'd you get into that? Just tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So dance wise, I have really grown up my whole life being a dancer. And, ever since I was 3, I was always, in the studio doing all my different classes. And yeah, and then eventually, it was time for me to go off to college. And it was funny because there really wasn't even a discussion with my family or anything like, what are you going to do? Or, it was just like everybody knew that, well, she's going to go to college for dance and that'll be that, So it was great to, have that kind of support to just know that I'm going to go do that and that, that's the only option. So I went to the University of Minnesota for college and then graduated with a BFA in dance there. And then after that, I kind of just moved down to Orlando, Florida on a whim a little bit. And yeah, I've been performing here for over the last decade now. And I've just been able to do performing and only performing. That was kind of always my dream. I didn't necessarily need to be on the world's biggest stages or at the, dancing at the Oscars or, things like that. I just always wanted to make my living only off of performing. And that's what I've been able to do, I'm so grateful for that. So
that's so cool. I love it. I know one time you messaged me about those, I don't even know how you describe them, like the dancing.
The living vines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's another fun thing is because once I was dancing down here, I was able to get into stilt walking and do all kinds of things in the stilt walking world too. So yeah, I get to do all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's so fun. And I bet meet a bunch of cool people along the way.
Yes, definitely.
So when did this shift from, I know you're still living it and doing it, the dancing world, but like dance, and also you're a certified life coach. How did that kind of connect and come to be?
Totally. That's a good question. So it was kind of funny because, as a dancer, we all kind of know that we have a limited lifespan, so to speak, in the dance world, So once I was getting closer to my 30s, I realized okay, I need to start looking at, ways to branch out and things like that. So I went and got my life coaching certification and then also my personal trainer certification as well. And, I kind of just had them in my back pocket for a while, but nothing was really calling out to me as far as like a certain type of group that I wanted to work with, or, things like that. So I was like, let me just put these in my back pocket for a while. And then once I was diagnosed with RA, which is rheumatoid arthritis, for anyone who's not as familiar, that was the moment that it all came to, like, it all came to be. Like, I remember sitting and reading my blood work, which, of course, that's ill-advised, but I read my own test results, and I remember sitting on the bed, and I read, that my tests were positive for rheumatoid arthritis, and it was the weirdest feeling. I can't even really put it into words probably very well, but it was the weirdest feeling that came over me of like, oh my gosh, my whole life is about to change, but also my whole life is about to change, in the best way. So I just had this, and I sat there FaceTiming my parents and with my boyfriend by my side, and I told them, I was like, this is going to be a lot, and it's going to be really hard, but I know that this is all for a bigger reason than just me being sick.
Yeah.
There's a reason for this, and I think, my purpose is to help other people dealing with chronic illnesses navigate it, because it's so scary when you first get diagnosed with something.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I would like to be that person that helps people who are newly diagnosed, or who have, had things for a while, that just, need a little help with the movement, mindset, and motivation side of things. So that's kind of how that all transitioned.
It's a kind of I don't want to call it a blessing, but sometimes just things happen to lead you down other paths in life, and not
Yeah,
necessarily the path maybe you would have thought of, but kind of leads you into a place that you're meant to be. So I think that always taking the positive out of every maybe negative circumstance is something that's so important, and seems like you
absolutely.
definitely do.
Yeah, I learned so much from this, and now, you can just take those things forward with, anything that happens at work or with friends, or, it's just, okay, this is a small thing that I can
Yeah.
try and find the positive. So it's taught me so much.
For some people who might be just like unfamiliar with rheumatoid arthritis, what are some like daily challenges that it
Sure.
provides?
Yeah, so RA is tough because it kind of can present differently for everybody in certain ways. So it was kind of funny because before I got diagnosed, the reason that I knew something was wrong was I was actually feeling it in my muscles. So I felt like my muscles were like going numb, and they were like, just felt like they were full of concrete. I just couldn't really move well, which, as a dancer is very difficult.
Yeah.
So I knew something was wrong, and I just had a feeling it was going to be something autoimmune. I don't know. Sometimes we just know,
Mhm.
So with RA, for me personally, um, it eventually did move to my joints. So I do have it in, honestly, pretty much all of my joints at this point. It's kind of started out in the ankles, knees, elbows, and wrists, but now I'm having a lot of trouble with my hips and my back and things like that. So it's a bit of everywhere, and even my hands. That's normally, for a lot of people, the first sign that they have is they'll get the hand stiffness and the
Oh, yeah.
swelling, but mine didn't come until a year later. So um, yeah, so just a lot of joint pain, fatigue is off the charts,
Mhm.
brain fog comes with it. And then, once you go on to whatever medicine, if people decide to go down the medicine route, those medicines have a world of their own of things that they bring too. So
Right.
it's navigating not only the RA, but all the side effects that come with whatever meds you're on, because they are intense. So yeah, so it's a challenge, but I think it's kind of a double-edged sword being a dancer, because I yes, it makes my day much harder. The fact that I'm a dancer, and I don't know how I'm going to wake up feeling every morning. So some
Yeah.
days I have to go into work when I can barely walk, and we got a show to do. So, you just kind of make it happen. But I think it's kind of been the best thing for me too, because it would be very easy to let this take you over completely, and just, you see so many people that it just puts them into a really sedentary state. And I think it's been good that I've been forced to every day, guess what? You have to pay your bills. So you're going to work and you're dancing. So
Right.
it's, it's kind of been a blessing in that way.
What are some of the, or kind of like, what's your mission, or how do you talk to people who maybe have confided in you that they have chronic illnesses? And, what is your kind of story that you tell them, or picture of hope?
Sure, that's a great question. So, I think one of the biggest things, like usually my go-to question for any client that I'm working for, anyone, that I'm just chatting with, through social media or things like that, I always eventually get to the point where I ask them what value is coming from whatever XYZ disease, cancer, whatnot that they have. And where is the gratitude for this? What
Mhm.
gratitude can you find in this? And usually that opens up this beautiful door into things that they've probably never even really thought about before, because it's
Right.
so easy to see the tough side of it, and
Mhm.
that's so valid. But yeah, I think you start to realize that, oh, I'm noticing who is my support system. My relationship with my parents is stronger.
Mhm.
There are so many good things that come from RA. You really have value over your body, and you have so much like gratitude for what it can do, not
Mhm.
necessarily what it can't do anymore. So I think, asking some of those tougher, bigger questions has been really what has fueled my clients and just the friends in the social media world, just to kind of start thinking in a different way. Reframing, that's always a big thing. And the coaching and counseling world is reframing. And yeah, I think just looking at it from a different perspective.
Do you think if you weren't diagnosed with that, you would have gone the life coaching route, or what do you
I
think?
think eventually I always would have gone that route, but
Mhm.
I think it would have been tougher for me to have as much of a passion for it, because
Right.
had a I don't think I would have had as easy of a time finding my right niche.
Yes.
So I think I would have picked something and then maybe switched, or,
Yeah.
kind of dabbled around in things. But yeah, it really worked out beautifully that, it's just this is what it's best of both worlds.
It's so true. I love when life works out that way.
Me too.
When you hear the word purpose, what comes to mind?
Ooh, when I hear the word purpose, I I really just feel like it's that passion that fuels your soul. That thing that that's why you get out of bed in the morning,
Mhm.
which, dealing with the chronic illness, you have to have those things. So I
Yeah.
think finding your purpose is so important, because we all have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, whether it's easy or not easy to do so. And finding that, it's not always easy to find your purpose, but I kind of see it as, you have to throw a bunch of, that old line, you have to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and just see what sticks, because
Yes.
something will. And I think so much of it too is about timing, and
Mhm.
just patience and allowing yourself to play. And, I've dabbled in so many different things up until this point that it's, now all of a sudden it's really working out, but it wasn't always like that. So I
Right.
think not, I think just, yeah, having that thing that just fuels you.
Do you think your purpose shifted after you found out that you had RA?
1000%. Yeah, I do. I think I had what I thought was a purpose. I like
Mhm.
dancing, but it's not my purpose. And
Right.
I think deep down I always knew that, but I think I always, just kind of pretended like it was, and
Mhm.
that's the hat that I was going to wear. And, so yeah, RA 100% gave me my whole purpose in life.
That's amazing. I think it's so neat too when you kind of you like know that you enjoy what you're doing, but it's not quite where you want to be yet. And I've totally experienced that. And it's just like,
Really?
but I don't really know what I want to be doing yet, or where, my next goal lies, or like where I find myself making the most impact in this world. Like, I'm not sure where that is yet, but I know I'm not quite in it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's neat to see, if we could only watch life in reverse, we would
Right.
understand, but it's just not what it's meant to be. But it's really wonderful to
Yeah.
hear bits and pieces of people's journeys, because it's so
Mhm.
evident that obviously like God's playing such a big role in everyone's lives. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've had quite a journey too, wearing a lot of different hats too.
Yes.
So yeah, I know you can relate to that.
Well, I love your story, and I hope to keep seeing you inspiring other people. So where can people find you, like on social media?
Oh, sure. So I'm primarily on Instagram, and that is at Sick and Thriving. And so I'm mostly there, and I'll respond to any DMs that I get. It might take me a couple days, but yes, I will always respond. And then I'm getting my website up and running now, so you can visit that as well. That's the same game, www.sickandthriving.com. And I do take a journey over to the TikTok world every now and then. So same game there too, at Sick and Thriving. And yeah, I definitely love to chat with as many people as I can, and just hear everyone else's stories and journeys, because I'm learning so much about different chronic illnesses. And
Yeah.
so it's, yeah, I highly encourage people to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was really wonderful talking to you, and hearing a little bit more about your journey and your story, and can't wait to see where life takes you.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't wait to keep up with you too. See what hats you got to wear next.
Thank you. For more information on the Perfect Your Purpose podcast, you can stream it on any of your streaming services.